In 2022, when I took delivery of my rewards from MCDM's Kickstarter for Kingdoms and Warfare More Minis, I was greeted with a myriad of wonderful resin miniatures that I swore that I would diligently paint in a timely manner and then share with all of my friends and family. If you understand anything about miniature and model painters, it'll come to you as no surprise that that was a lie. Hello and welcome to Hobby Envoy. I'm Cole, and this week we're taking a hard left turn and diving into the line of resin miniatures produced to accompany MCDM's Kickstarter for Kingdoms and Warfare. For me, one of the most difficult parts of this project was actually selecting the project itself, as when I backed the Kickstarter in 2020, I sprung for everything. And everything is actually quite a lot in miniature terms. The Kickstarter came with hosts of the undead, demons, devils, a giant gemstone dragon whose name I'm looking at and I won't try and pronounce, the archfiend Relg the Descender, and even a tiny little ruby dragon wormling, whom I actually did paint. I decided that I wanted to do something that was out of my wheelhouse, something unlike a miniature I've ever painted before. And what I settled on was the Fang Devil, Horat, the Duke of Kasyrgan. You have to forgive me. When I'm reading these things, I feel like I'm impelled to use the Colville-style diaphragmic utterances. And to help achieve the look, I am going to be referencing the exquisite full-color artwork that accompanies the Fang Devil's entry in the Kingdoms and Warfare book. I will be trying to get as close as possible in the miniature itself to the artwork provided. There will be some differences here and there, of course, but you can't quite expect one-to-one on everything when you're working with completely different mediums. Now, before we begin in earnest, I do have to apologize for purposefully omitting some footage from the beginning of my painting process. In the previous two videos, I think I'd skated by with some lesser quality video, but this time around the video quality was so poor I just couldn't justify actually including it. The only footage you'll find missing is from the process of priming and also base coating the body and the armor plates. So not a whole lot is gone, but I wanted everyone to be aware that those sections are missing and is on purpose. Now, as it is, we're going to be breezing through a lot of the steps here because none of it is particularly advanced. It's a lot of base coating, dry brushing, painting in details, applying washes, etc., etc. What I really actually want to focus on is a couple of the new processes that I used for the first time with this miniature. One detail I need to figure out how to tackle was the various places in the artwork where there's this reddish exposed flesh from where the meat of this devil is rent open from all the different toothy outgrowths going on. These are areas on the miniature that aren't super well defined. This isn't a knock against the miniature. There's only so much you can do with a resin at that scale. But it did pose a problem. I didn't think a lot of the other techniques that I have in my toolbox that I've used before, dry brushing, blending, washes, any of those would have gotten the effect I wanted. So I need a new tool to tackle this fleshy issue. And my solution was to use a blood effect paint. Now, blood effect paints are typically trying to create blood stain effects on weapons and the like, splatters on walls, similar things. But I decided to employ it in creating that torn flesh effect around the arms, the soaked, stained effect on the hands, and basically anywhere else on Horat where that reddish bloody effect appears in the artwork. And I think, all things considered, it turned out really well. The second new thing I needed to tackle with this miniature was the base. If you ask me, basing makes miniatures. It grounds them and puts them in a scene. Now, in the artwork for the Fang Devil, he's standing on just this dry, gray, kind of cracked ground. I decided that's boring. And now we're going to make him stand on volcanic ground. And to do that, we're going to employ a crackle paint, another new material that I had not used before. Before applying the crackle paint, I readied the base with the volcanic effect by layering up the orange kind of lava, what I wanted to show through the cracks once the paint is applied. And after applying and waiting about an hour, we have our result. I personally think the crackle effect is a bit more intense than I would have preferred, but I think it looks good overall. And after touching up the edge of the base and some clear coat, we have our finished product. And that was Horat, Duke of Kasyrgan. I know this is a bit of a shorter video, but I hope you guys enjoyed seeing this Fang Devil come to life. I know I did. To any of my Dungeons & Dragons players who might be watching this video, you do not have to worry, you won't be facing this guy. Yet. Let me know what you thought down in the comments section down below. I think for next week we will be back to Gunpla, so be looking forward to that. And I'll catch you then. Later. Just look at that guy. I'd say it's a face only a mother could love, but even I'm not that charitable.